this is Andrew Amaro. He's a former member of the Canadian Armed Forces. He's he has 20 years experience with insecurity and threat intelligence. Um, and also he's a former technical operations agent. Um, and he's got a wealth of experience of leading and coordinating technical teams on data exploitation, physical access, online anonymity, and digital surveillance operations in support of the Canadian National Security Investigations. Please give him welcome a round of applause.
Can everyone hear me okay? I can't help but feel like we're going to do some sort of workout with this thing on, because I guess that's what I associate it with. I've got some cool stickers that I challenge you to come pick them up, either in the middle or afterwards. So I'm going to put them here. They're really sparkly. This one's weatherproof, so you could put it on your skateboard if you want. So I wanted to see if everyone's, like, after lunch, is everyone sleeping a little bit? I want everyone to stretch out a little bit. So if you guys can just entertain me a little bit. Exactly. It's almost like we've worked together. So you can stand up for this or not, but we're going to just start clapping. All together, all right? Okay. Okay, now hold on. Keep that going. Does anybody know this song? Nobody knows this song? You can keep clapping, it's good. No? Come on, everyone's got to know this song. You can keep clapping, it's a good song, no? You can get up and dance if you want, even the people in the back, if you're sleeping and stuff. You can sleep a little bit, I'm tired too, but... Nothing? This is like, wait, Billy, don't you lose my number. Don't make me sing it, it's gonna be bad. Where I can't find you. No? All right, fine. Okay, let me try to stop it here. And I'll sing it myself. No, I'm just kidding. That song gets me jacked up when I'm driving. It's like super old, but it's really good. Yeah, it's Phil Collins. I call him, I'm sorry, I know, it's get me in trouble with that. Phil Collins is a brand new artist, top charts. They call him Puff Collins for like the young folks. And I don't know if that joke's good or not because of Puff Daddy, I guess not really good. Anyways, so thanks for coming to my talk. I really appreciate it. It's my first time in Pasadena, and it's really cool. I only got to see like a very tiny bit of it. Got in late last night, leaving late today. I come from Ottawa in Canada, which about 4 or 5 hours from Toronto, an hour and a half from Montreal, so that type of thing. So today we're going to talk about data breaches and dark secrets, and it sounds like what it's going to be. We're going to talk about corporate side and how the corporations do certain things, but there's going to be a highlight there for ethical hackers. So if anyone's here is looking into getting into hacking or is in hacking, or I don't know, it's going to be exciting, I promise. And if it's not, then I'll give you your money back. So what's the hard truth about security? Well, one person told me a while back, security is like an onion. And not because it's all the layers. It's not because of that. Because it makes you cry. That's why. So the biggest thing that I want you to get out of this is that hackers are not the enemy. And I know this lady Mary over here is not a hacker because she doesn't want to say that, but she's a security professional. And that's what I'm yes. That's what I mean when I say hackers. So ethical hackers, security professionals, right? Hackers are not the enemy. Ignorance is. And the biggest thing that companies need to do is a mind shift. Think of this as anytime you have someone coming up to you and giving you some negative feedback, everyone hates that. Human nature, nobody likes to hear it. Even if it's true, you don't like to be criticized. Companies are no different. But ethical hackers come across as somewhat of enemies. They're treated like criminals. And a lot of them go up to companies to help them out, essentially to point out things before the real criminals do. So, corporations don't like that. Believe it from me. I've got a collection, actually I've got a wall full of cease and desist letters that are quite exciting. So that's really what happens. And a lot of the times, these companies, what ends up happening, if they don't take the help from people like myself or others, they end up having big data leaks, financial losses, and so on. So we're going to talk a bit more about that. Now, there's going to be a test at the end. So everyone, these questions here, if your data was leaked tomorrow, okay, I'm talking to the gentleman with the toque right here. If your data was leaked today, would you trust that organizations would handle it properly? No. Anyone else on a yes? No? Come on, there's got to be one person that believes in the organizations that take all of your data. No? You?
They'll give us free monitoring.
Yes, exactly. Free monitoring, yes, exactly. Of free monitoring from a company that was also data breached back in the day, which is amazing. So what happens to companies when they turn away from ethical hackers? So this happens a lot. And I'll tell you, it happened a lot more, let's say 10 years ago, but I still call up organizations and I'm like, oh, I noticed that you have been ransomwared by this organization, by this gang, and I want to help you essentially remediate this. And I'm told off, there's police sent, the paratroopers, there's cease and desist letter in the mail, all kinds of really nice things. It's lovely. So they ignore it all the time. Now, I didn't really introduce myself, so I'm going to do it in the middle, just to break it up. And I want to do it from the back because it's weird. So I'm going to do it from here. So I used to skateboard. I still skateboard. It's California, so I feel like that's what everyone does. Everyone skateboards, right? That's where everyone got here. Not in Pasadena? Oh, I saw the big signs outside. No skateboarding. It's like, do a kickflip. And so I want to read you something that I've written up for my book that's probably never going to come out, but it's super interesting. So if you can bear with me, I'm going to refer to my notes. There we go. I should have made the font bigger because I'm getting older and I can't see that well. So I got to look at it like this. Just kidding. It started with a different kind of thrill. Ducking security guards, dodging police, jumping fences to reach the best hidden skateboard spots. Back then, it was about testing boundaries and being creative with risk. Sometimes it meant breaking into the high school machine shop to make rails and boxes and stuff. And slipping into the local area network to change a couple of friends' marks because they didn't like to study. Later in the icy currents of the North Atlantic with the Canadian Navy, it gave those early skills the discipline and focus that would then shape my career in the high-stakes defense and intelligence. After leaving the Navy and doing some engineering school, I joined General Dynamics, did some weapons testing and emulation. Yes, it's very long, hang on. But the real test came during my tenure, decade-plus tenure with the Canadian Security Intelligence Service. I'm pretty sure nobody's ever heard of it, but this guy right here, and they're kind of like the FBI, a little mix of CIA, so that type of thing. I did work with the FBI. This is the Navy one, General Dynamics, the Canadian government, and then the Five Eyes. Just so you know why I put those up there. Advancing through senior management, I focused on counterintelligence, counterproliferation, targeting threats both across physical and digital realms. So that's where I honed in, and if you look at my company that I have, Clavin, I do physical and cyber, mostly because and I know a lot of people say this about holistic security, but I truly believe it, that you can't have security if you only focus on one piece of the puzzle. You need to have the entire thing. So today, I feel like the mindset that used to get me in trouble in skateboarding and all the other things kind of drives me today to try to protect organizations. And I really feel like skaters were actually the original hackers, because if you know a skater, he'll be sitting with you and you'll be driving and he'll be like, oh, that's a skate spot. And you look at it, just a set of stairs. Well, that's a curb. Oh, that's a skate spot. No, it's just a curb. And they really look at the environment differently. Same thing with hackers. Hackers don't see the product for what it is. Hackers see all kinds of other stuff they can do with it. So anyways, so today I try to put that mindset towards trying to help organizations become more secure. I also try to help some of the victims that actually get into, that are part of these breaches, trying to get them some coverage, trying to understand what the impact is, trying to have their back. And then I'm part of some of the other organizations, the No More Ransom Project, Stop Think Connect. And I think our friend earlier was talking about simple things as knowing what you have, so a little bit of knowing your inventory, adversary emulation, awareness training, planning for your incident response, and then SOC 2 that helps startups a ton. Promise that is it. So why do organizations, or what do organizations do when they're told that they have something to fix? Well, first of all, it's like, well, how long is this going to take? How much is it going to cost me? And is it going to delay my release of my product? And the answer is probably it's going to cost a lot, it's going to take a long time, and it is definitely going to delay your release 100%. So the business is going to turn around and be like, forget it. We need to release this, and who's ever going to target this? No one would ever do this. Forget it. This would never happen. Plus, they think ethical hackers are threats, not allies. But the reality is that ethical hackers aren't the ones that are going to ransom them for millions of dollars. The breaches typically get hidden, and we'll talk a bit more as to why this happens. And the victims are left in the dark. So if you'll probably hear from that you've been involved in a breach, probably, I don't know, if you're lucky within 6 months. Most of the time it's like a year. Anyways, they continue to be repeat victims. So most of the organizations that end up getting hit end up getting hit multiple times by different gangs. There's less trust in organizations as to how they take your data. So in the end, companies need a new playbook. And that is the truth. Thanks for coming, guys. Appreciate it. I have one example here in the city of Columbus. This, after a ransomware occurred, this researcher did the same thing that I typically do. I look at the data that's there, and I assess it for privacy, like the impact on individuals and the organization. So he was doing the same thing for the city of Columbus. He comes to find that there's very sensitive data that is of underage people, and so he tells the city. Guess what the city did? Gave him a bunch of money, hired him on the spot, and asked him to fix everything with no budget limits. Hang on a second. No, that's not right. So the city sued him, okay? Essentially threatened him so much that he had to get people on his side to defend him. They ended up pulling all the charges and whatever. But the idea was that they went with this old school mentality that we're going to pull all of our legal folks and we're going to write up all of these scary letters to just scare people away. And let me tell you that there's nothing in East Europe where a lot of these ransomware gangs are located, like a cease and desist letter it's not going to do anything, and your legal bodies aren't going to reach that far. So you're just wasting time. You're paying $500, $600 an hour for a lawyer to write up these letters that are useless because you still have an old school mentality. Well, in reality, you should be paying $500, $600 an hour for this researcher to actually fix what he found. And they're not doing that. So what does this do? Most hackers, ethical hackers, are going to probably shy away from this. They're not going to be comfortable getting a cease and desist letter. So they're just going to discourage other people from telling you that there's issues. They're going to keep the vulnerabilities open, repeat attacks constantly. And it's going to mislead public thinking that their data is secure. Now, if we punish researchers, what's going to happen? Less people are going to come forward. And even, which doesn't sound, it sounds kind of cool, but not. I'm not really a bad guy, but they're going to go to the dark side because they know can get more money. So if you're not going to pay me nicely, maybe $2,000 for that, penetration test that I was going to give you, I'm going to go to the dark side and get paid $3 million. So why don't I do that? That's unfortunate, but that's how the ransomware game kind of started. There's other reasons for it, but there's other examples. St. Louis reporter was charged, for using hacking tools, highly specialized hacking tools. Something called, and everyone has it on their keyboard, but no one's ever deployed it. It's called the F12 button. He pressed it, and inside the source code of the website was PII data of everyone from the Department of Education from St. Louis. So he's like, this stuff is hard-coded in there. So he told them about it, and they charged them. They arrested the guy because he was using highly sophisticated hacking tools. And I'm like, damn, if he is highly sophisticated, I'm a ninja, right? So John Jackson, actually, let me refer my notes because I don't remember what John Jackson did. Oh, I think he was the Apple guy. Yes? Yes. So he disclosed it, got a DMCA served to him by Apple. Very good, thank you. There you go. What's the next one? Can you tell me? Dennis Torovec. What is that one? Anyone remember this guy? No? Okay, let me see if I remember it. I swear this is part of my bit. Okay, I'll come back to it. I swear it's here. Hang on. No? Oh, I left it over here. Okay. So that's 2. That's 3. I got it. Yes. Oh, no, shoot. Dennis was the guy. Was the Apple guy. Dennis was the Apple guy. But you were close. It's good. John Jackson was exposed from a mental health app. He just exposed some flaws. He got charged. Students in Malta reported a flaw. Police showed up at their door. Ridiculous. Now, those are old, right? 2021? Well, guess what? Late last year, a German researcher found all kinds of stuff that's wrong, compiled a beautiful report, showed up at the doorstep of the company, provided it to them, arrested. In the US, which is where we are here today, I know that. I had 5 hours sleep last night, I know this. Virginia Supreme Court expanded some sort of computer crime law that allows hackers to get charged. Now, I know that DOJ, at least from my notes here, DOJ created a policy back in 2022 protecting ethical hackers. Good faith ethical hackers. That's redundant, I know. But what I want to say is that even here in the US, you have to be cautious when you are testing stuff and ethical hacking. And you have to make sure you protect yourself, right? Even though the DOJ has something locally to the states, there's different things that they can do. They can override it, as you know. In Canada, we have zero protection. We have a law that was written back in 97, and it essentially says that if you're using any sort of computer equipment to hack, you're going to get arrested, which is amazing. No, it's exactly. Yes, 100%. And it has not been updated, so there's like zero protection from it. Yeah. The other places like Lithuania actually has a ethical hacking protection. Belgium is pretty good. It goes under like a whistleblower kind of protection. So US, Europe are kind of making progress. Canada is not, and unfortunately, the rest of the world needs to catch up as well. So if you are out there and you're curious, you probably want to do some of this work if you're learning on something like a cyber range or go into one of those BugCrowd, HackerOne, protected stuff. I know it's a lot of fun to attack live targets, but it might get you in trouble. So still be fun, but you know. Okay, so ethical hackers, are they friends or foes? Friends, right. Okay, so a bad approach is when somebody comes up to you and says, hey, you should fix this because, I can really do some bad stuff with it, you shouldn't ignore it. You should actually say, oh, cool. And now, obviously, there's going to be the situations where someone's probably just shaking you down for some cash, no doubt. So what you do is you still acknowledge it, but validate it. So you're like, okay, I don't know who you are. Let me validate this. And you become better or not. And if it's just a lie, then you just tell them to leave, right? If you threaten legal action, that's going to suck. It's going to cost you money and does nothing. So what you should do is actually engage in some sort of responsible disclosure. You know what's going to happen. Nowadays, if you have anything that's public-facing or whatever, you're going to have some sort of responsible disclosure process in place. Don't deny the problem. You can't just deny it. This isn't like, Cold War and it's a bunch of spies. Deny everything and no one's going to find out. No, it's going to come out eventually. So you may as well fix the issue or try to fix it. Or even if you don't fix it, say why you can't fix it, because some of them you can't fix. And then communicate openly. And never hide the breaches because they're never really hidden. I swear, everybody, or not everybody, a lot of people that I talk to truly believe that the dark web is locked off to anyone that's not a criminal. Okay? They're like, well, it's in the dark web, no one else is going to see it, just criminals. And I'm like, do you know that people that are, freedom fighters and other people use the same tool? It's just a browser. So it's not locked up. It takes 5 minutes to do it. But that's the reality of it. So smart companies use ethical hackers to strengthen their defenses. Now, why do companies act like this? So we talked about the ego, I guess, or maybe we didn't. Maybe I thought of it in my head. But this all comes down to ego. Humans have ego. Companies are run by humans, have ego.
Intellectual property.
Intellectual?
Property.
Yes. And so the fear drives bad decisions. You don't want to be embarrassed. Someone's just criticizing you and saying, hey, you messed up real bad.
Brand damage.
What's that?
Brand damage.
Brand damage? Of course, yes. So everyone's worried about what's going to happen because this is going to come out. But it's really down to embarrassment. And the legal teams, a lot of the organizations still have CISOs really under, let's say, not really at the same level as all the C-suites. They have them reporting to a CTO, or they have them reporting to a COO or a CEO, whatever. But they are not considered to be the prime players. So the problem is they go after the old school tactics of giving cease and desist letters and spending all the money and doing that, instead of actually asking the CISO what to do with it. So hiding problems never works. And this is the truth right here. Transparency plus action is the real defense strategy. Okay, so is anyone familiar with how breaches typically happen? Like when you get a ransomware note, and what are the steps afterwards? Anybody? Don't be shy. If you know it, you guys are lying. You know it. But we'll just go over it just for fun. Okay, so phishing. So I usually like to use lasers, freaking lasers. So a breach detection. So you get a ransomware note, systems go down, something's off. Internal staff with good intentions goes, well, I'm going to go and fix this because I'm the IT person or I'm the tech person and I know how to do it. So they're going to contact the ransomware group and initiate a conversation. That never goes well, ever. Most of these guys never bought weed off their friend in high school and now they're talking to international criminals. Never going to work. So attackers are going to escalate immediately because the conversation goes south real quick. 48 hours to a week goes by, and now all the data is on the dark web. Remember that place that nobody goes to. So they do that. Researchers like myself would go in there and be like, hey guys, I looked at the data, you should really do something about it. I get ignored, told off with profanities, serve cease and desist letters, and verbally attacked or sued. Now, this all happens, then the current MSP, IT people say, it's all good, we have a backup. We could just blow it all away and recover it. Cool. But guess what's included in that backup? Anybody? Yes, exactly. the bad stuff. And they're going to be repeat victims again. Surprise. Now, what I would love to see is this. When the first step happens and they get the ransomware note, is they contact somebody that actually does this for a living. Because those criminals do this for a living. So instead of me acting like, I'm gonna need some more time, I need to talk to my boss, is there any way we can just forget all this happened? You guys are criminals anyways. You guys are idiots. No, I'm gonna talk to them you got me. How are we gonna get out of this, right? How are we gonna remediate this as fast as possible? So the ransomware reduction will happen. So go from the most famous one is 250 to 25,000. So over 80% you can save, let's say. I'll actually get a penetration test from the gangs, if you ask them nicely. They'll actually tell you how they got in. You're getting a penetration test for, let's say, 25K. That's a deal. No doubt. It's an actual real deal. Then we go through and we're like, okay, we're going to make sure that we remove the data from the dark web. Now, there's a lot of ifs and buts there. But the idea is that we try to get it off the web as much as possible. It's a negotiation. There's a conversation. We also do the privacy and data impact analysis. And what does this mean? If you're a client and your driver's license, passport, all kinds of stuff is part of the data, you're at risk of getting your identification stolen. And you're going to be fighting for years to fix that. The organization, if they have any sort of, let's say, invoices and things like that, we're going to have to beef up, let's say, your accounts procurement process. Simple as that. So it's more of looking at what the data is there, thinking if I were an attacker, what would I use it for and how would I use it? And then you have to implement it. None of this stuff's being done there. They think it's just going to be removal. Anyways. Did that, address gaps leading to the breach, because now we have the report. And then the other thing is looking for a little bit more of other things that we can build up a solid foundation for security. So that was my kind of suggestion as how companies can improve and do that better. The other thing is, we already talked about it, is why not let the CISO, by the way, the CISO is this guy, right there, with the Spider-Man hoodie type guy, I don't know. So there's two examples here. The wrong way, I don't know if you guys heard of a company that's in Canada called London Drugs? Yes? Okay. So they're on the West Coast. They had a breach, massive breach. The COO and CEO come out and said, nothing to see here. Everything's fine. 2 days later, it's a different story. Everything's bad. I was looking at the story, I'm like, that is the worst way to actually handle that situation. Now I don't believe anything you're saying, and I'm never going to go there and buy anything. And if I were a client, I'd be worried as hell. So you get misleading reports to the media. There's no CISO in place. There's no technical person actually talking to the media or giving you actual data. The right way would be like Blue Yonder. I don't know if you guys, they're a supplier for big chains like Starbucks and things like that. Nobody heard of them? Yes? That's a good example of how to deal with a breach. Immediately when it came out that they were breached, they immediately brought someone out like a CISO. I don't actually know their title, but they were talking about, yes, something's occurred. We are investigating. And as soon as we have more information, we'll let you know. What's wrong with that? That's amazing. That means that I'm trusting you. If something else happens, that you're probably going to learn from this event, except instead of hiding it and not learning anything. So own the problem and own the fix. Simple. But again, it comes back to the ego and the fear and the old school mentality of business, right? The other thing that companies need to do is independent assessments. And why independent? Because again, if you do, you can't assess yourself. If you're asked, okay, tell me what your strengths and weaknesses, which is the most famous interview questions, you're not really going to be truthful. So the idea is that you're having someone else come in there that is going to essentially find out what is actually are the issues without any problems with ego, without any political ties, without any worries about their position being canned or them being canned. Independent assessments, doesn't matter, they're the key to actually uncovering real things. You can't self-audit, so bring in independent experts. Sounds simple, but this is like the truth. And it bypasses those egos, bypasses the internal politics, friendships, all this other stuff that typically creates a biased evaluation. Cool? Now, I don't know if I scared anyone from being ethical hacker. Probably not, because if you're like me, it just excited you, and you're like, yes, it's a challenge. I'm going to do more of this because I want to be like Andrew and get that wall of cease and desist letters. I can just give you a copy of them and just change the name at the bottom, but they all kind of look the same. I think they use the same template. Understand that rejection is part of the game. We're in security. Rejection is always part of the game. You're always telling somebody that they can do something better. It's not like you're going around complimenting people and complimenting companies. You're literally always criticizing them. You're the guy that walks in the door and they're like, damn, he's going to tell me that I really look stupid today in this t-shirt. You know, that type of thing. So that's just part of it, though. But if you come in with the intention of helping, it comes across a lot less negative. So just remember that. Covering your butt, document everything. Use platforms such as like the Bug Crowd and a bunch of the other platforms that allow you to search for bug bounties, but as you're being protected, you're protected from the law. Don't let, a couple of stumbles stop you. Take those as learning. Like we're talking about making companies accept the fact that they've made mistakes and learning from that. Same with you as an ethical hacker. If you're going to fail, fail fast, fail many, many times until you become the best and continue doing it. The other thing is join bug bounties, the CTF that's going on right now, things like this. Do a lot of networking, help friends out, be part of the community, and that's what's going to build up your name. And once people know that you're not just a criminal that's calling, and if I have time, I'll tell you a story about another Andrew that works for Lockbit, which is another ransomware group. But anyways, network activity is human connection will never be replaced. So you need to know that coming to a conference like this is priceless. I've met a lot of great people, gentlemen in the back, we talked over lunch. And so security researchers really changed the industry, so keep pushing forward. That's like the message, right? And now to get a little tearful here, future of cybersecurity is collaboration. Isn't that wonderful? No? What's that? Yes. Shall we sing that? I have the song here. No? Just kidding. For next time. OWASP? Yes, it is. Very good, yes. So transparency is the biggest thing. Being ethical, doing the right thing, and having the right approach is what's really going to push security. And have security not looked at as a cost center, but looked at as an investment. And that's the reality, right? Security is always like an afterthought. Everyone's like, push the code, push the code. People probably know Dilbert, right? But there's like that little comic that says, okay guys, start coding. I'm going to go find out what the client wants, right? Companies should really open up some more of like the vulnerability disclosure programs. Have that channel. If you have people coming to you telling you that something needs to be fixed, you probably should be open to that because it's good feedback. Keep advocating for transparency, so everyone in here should be saying, let's share. Even if you find something bad, share with your friends. If you have like other techniques that you can share, do the same thing. Stay engaged, never give up. Always cause trouble in a good way, obviously. Build trust and take action. And I want to say thank you. Don't lose my number, but wait a second. I wanted to go back to that. Do I have like 5 minutes? Yes? Yes, okay. So I called up this client, and I'm like, I'm Andrew calling from Clavin, and I saw that you have a bunch of data on the dark web. And the lady's like, oh, yesterday you called me and you're from Lockbit. And I'm like, what? No. She's like, well, the gang actually called me and his name was Andrew. And I'm like, oh, well, that sucks. I guess I can't get out of this one. She's like, yeah, it sounds kind of suspicious that you have the same name and you sound the same as the other guy. So what are the chances, right? I feel like they've just been following me and just been using my name now. Anyways, so that's what happens. But all in all, the ransomware stuff is horrible. It destroys a lot of people's lives, destroys a lot of companies. But it's more of us how we actually deal with it. It's okay to put policies and say that you're not going to pay, you're not going to negotiate with terrorists, you're not going to pay stuff. The reality is that you need to get out of situations as fast as possible. You need to remediate those things. And I know it sucks to negotiate with people that are trying to rip you off, but it is kind of the game. And so I really appreciate you guys coming out. I hope you liked what I talked about. If you have any questions, please reach out to me on LinkedIn. Don't be shy. And please come get some stickers because I can't take them back. And yeah, thanks for coming. Anyone have any questions before you go? No? Maybe? Yes?
So a lot of what you mentioned kind of falls within risk for business.
Mm-hmm.
Have you found any success talking to insurance providers instead of corporations themselves?
I have actually gone that route. The insurance providers are almost as afraid as the organizations to speak with us. So what they technically do, they might not be as rude, they might not sue you, but they'll get their own people to go check it out. So it is a valid route. A lot of the times it's hard to know which organization has which insurance company. So in order for us to find that out, but it would be nice if we had that connection. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Thank you.